I had always believed my marriage to Jessica was strong. We had been together for over a decade, shared a home, and raised a child together. From the outside, everything seemed perfect. Friends and family often praised our bond, saying we were the ideal couple. But over the past few months, subtle signs began to unsettle me. Late nights, secretive phone calls, and vague excuses about her whereabouts. Deep down, I sensed something was terribly wrong, though I tried to convince myself otherwise. One evening, I received a tip from a mutual acquaintance that Jessica was meeting someone at a bar downtown. My heart sank as a wave of suspicion turned into near certainty. I decided to investigate, not recklessly, but strategically. I needed proof, and I needed to confront them in a way that would ensure accountability. When I arrived at the bar, I spotted Jessica and a man I immediately recognized as her affair partner. The two were laughing, leaning close, and completely unaware of my presence. For a moment, I felt a mix of anger, disbelief, and betrayal. The woman I had trusted and loved was blatantly cheating right before my eyes. My mind raced, but I knew that any action taken in haste would be wasted. I needed a plan, and I had one. I calmly approached them, keeping my composure, and waited for the perfect moment. Then I pulled out my phone and started recording, capturing the undeniable proof of their infidelity. Jessica's eyes widened in shock, her face draining of color. The man she was with turned pale, suddenly realizing that their secret was no longer private. I had evidence, and they both knew it. I took a deep breath and spoke in a measured tone. I told them everything I knew, the messages, the late-night calls, the hidden meetings, and reminded them that this was not a joke. The betrayal they had assumed was hidden had now been fully exposed. Jessica tried to deflect, tried to justify herself. But the look of fear in her affair partner's eyes told me that the gravity of the situation had fully sunk in. With the recordings in hand, I filed for divorce the next day. Custody arrangements for our child were my top priority, ensuring stability and emotional security. Financial settlements were carefully calculated to reflect both legal obligations and the emotional toll of her betrayal. Jessica had gambled with trust, loyalty, and family, and she lost completely, but legal action alone wasn't enough. I knew I needed to reclaim control entirely. I cut all contact with her, moved out with our child, and ensured that Jessica had no influence over my life. The absence itself became punishment. She had no opportunity to manipulate, negotiate, or plead her way back. By vanishing from her life, I reclaimed dignity, control, and peace of mind. In the weeks that followed, I focused entirely on rebuilding stability and routine for myself and my child. Friends and family became my pillars of support, and I created an environment of normalcy for my child. Jessica, meanwhile, faced the consequences of her choices. Her credibility, reputation, and influence over my life were destroyed. The exposure at the bar, combined with legal and social fallout, ensured she could not evade accountability. Reflecting on the ordeal, I realized that true revenge isn't about shouting, public humiliation, or dramatic confrontations. It's about strategy, timing, and reclaiming control. By documenting the affair, confronting Jessica and her lover directly, filing for divorce, and disappearing from her life, I ensured that the consequences were swift, undeniable, and permanent. She had assumed she could cheat, manipulate, and continue life as if nothing had happened. She was wrong. Over time, I noticed the complete shift in power. Jessica attempted to reach out, apologize, or manipulate situations to regain control, but I ignored every attempt. Each effort she made to assert influence over my life failed. Meanwhile, I focused on what mattered most: my child, my peace, and the future I deserved. The humiliation and fallout she faced became a natural consequence of her choices, a reminder that betrayal has a cost. Ultimately, this story is one of betrayal, accountability, and empowerment. A cheating wife believed she could act without consequences, flaunt her infidelity, and continue life as if nothing had happened. But strategy, evidence, legal action, and decisive withdrawal ensured justice. Jessica gambled with trust, and she lost. The lesson is clear: betrayal has consequences, and some actions cannot be forgiven, forgotten, or ignored. This experience also taught me something essential. Sometimes, the most devastating revenge is not about confrontation or anger alone. It's about reclaiming your life, protecting those you love, and ensuring that deceit cannot continue unchecked. By acting strategically, patiently, and decisively, I turned a moment of heartbreak and humiliation into one of empowerment and control, proving that betrayal has a price. In the end, My actions were not just about punishing Jessica or her lover. They were about reclaiming my dignity, authority, and the ability to move forward without manipulation or deceit in my life. That night at the bar, when I pulled out my phone and exposed them, was the moment I regained control over a life that had been shaken by betrayal. From that point forward, I rebuilt my world on my terms, ensuring that my child and I would be safe, respected, and free from the chaos of her choices.